am so excited today to introduce you all. Many of you probably already know this rock star. Pelpina Trip and I have known each other since, well, I guess actually 2011 is when you and I first connected, because you were doing some work with Geek Beat and I reached out to you and had some questions, and you were so gracious with your time and your information. And then we connected at South by Southwest in 2012. You actually interviewed me at that point. My book, the second edition of my book, had come out at that point, and I got to meet you and your awesome husband. And I have just been a huge fan ever since. So thank you for joining me for the Ripple Effect podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It really is so good to be back in touch.
Yes.
It has been quite some time, and I still remember 2012 South by Southwest, that we did this interview, and I think it was an interview. It might have been both, either for Geek Beat or for Frank Watching, a Dutch website. But I remember talking to you and being so inspired by your book, your message. So it's really been so good to be in touch and now to see you again.
The beauty of technology, right? Brought to you by video. So for those of you that will hear this on the podcast, you'll definitely want to check the video out on YouTube. But Pelpina was gracious enough to allow me to turn on the camera and overcome my fear, something that she's actually helped me. She didn't even know she was helping me do. But there's so much I want to ask you. I mean, let's just dive in, right? First and foremost, congratulations on the new book. The book, Video Smart, Make Smartphones like Videos Like a Pro, just came out a few months ago, and you are absolutely killing it with this book. I mean, this is such a treasure for people that, like me, were a little concerned with putting their face in front of a camera, right? So tell me about the book. Tell me what inspired you to write the book. I know you've done tremendous amount of consulting around this space, both for individuals and companies. And so I'm just really interested to dive into what, how this book came about.
Well, how this book came about, it wasn't that I woke up one morning and thought, hey, I'm going to write this book on how to make videos. It doesn't happen like that. I've made a lot of videos, and probably 5 years ago, I was approached by this company and they asked me, can you show us how you make these videos? Can you just come by, do a training and teach us, show us how you do what you do? And that's where the coaching and training and all these workshops started. But it's so interesting because when you are in it yourself, so I was making these videos, and when you're teaching other people, very different, completely different level. So, doing the first couple of trainings and workshops, I don't think they were really good. I was trying to.
They were probably awesome.
No, well, it's doing training for a couple of years. Now I know what people are really looking for, the problems people are facing. And usually it's things like what you just mentioned, talking to a camera, overcoming that fear, not knowing where to start, not knowing how to create a video plan, what to talk about, what to show, or the apps to use or simple tools to use. So after doing this for a couple of years, I had all these resources and I created this canvas and I had this tool list. And then I was approached by my publisher in the Netherlands, who asked me, do you want to write a book? And I had written a book in Dutch before on video marketing. And they asked me, would you like to write a very practical book in Dutch? And I said, that's interesting. Because I'm not a big writer. Right. I make videos.
Yeah, you make.
But I thought, I could do this, but then I would like to do this in a different way myself as well. And I would like to create a book that is really all me, really show people how to do, all the things that I've learned, that really also make it about other people, show cases, show how other people use their phone or smaller cameras to make business videos. And so that's how it slowly came about. And then I wrote my Dutch book. And then, a few months after that, Video Smart came out in English. So, well, so I'm really proud, very excited. But it's been something that's been in the making for quite some time. It's
such an awesome book. I mean, for those of you, you can find it, information at pelpina.com. And also you can find it on barnesandnobles.com, amazon.com. The book
it's everywhere.
Is amazing. Obviously, I've gone through it. I've got dog ears for days. I've got underlining, all these things. You know, it's because I wish this is actually the tool set that I wish I had when I started filming, right? And really, I like a lot of people, I think, have a lot of self-consciousness about being on camera. I don't like the look of my face. I mean, I pretty much think this face would actually scare most people away. So I try and get Ryan Reynolds to like pinch hit for me, but he won't return my calls any longer. So
that's really okay. So I do a lot of workshops and coaching and training. And yes, people have a lot of question on tools and techniques and, you know, apps. But the biggest hurdle is usually yourself, just, you know, what you say to yourself when you're looking at yourself while watching your own video. And to be honest, that was really where I started as well. When I started off in television, this is a long time ago. So we're talking 2008, when I lived in Dallas and I worked at a local TV station. This was one of my biggest fears, was talking live on camera. Yes, in a foreign language. To me, you know, I'm from the Netherlands, so my English was not my regular language. So it was really, you know, a fear I had to overcome. But by doing that, I think I now understand what other people are going through. And so, you know, just doing it and understanding that, hey, this is something a lot of other people are facing as well. That's one of the things that actually gives me a lot of joy right now, is helping others overcome their fears too.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because once you get over that fear, you know, the sky is the limit, right? Once you say, hey, look, you know, these tools have become more portable. We are all carrying a smartphone in our pocket, like your book indicates. I mean, there's no excuse. You don't have to have, you know, this really, really expensive equipment. You're probably carrying it right now in your pocket or your purse. And to be able to flip that camera around and have something to say, to share it out to social media or to put it on your website, video is really what helps get that message out there. Right. And so, you know, I'm curious from a business perspective, organizations, you know, companies that are maybe like, I don't really know how we would do video. I don't really know where we would get the benefit. How do I, you know, as a business owner, how do I justify sending my team off to go make these videos, you know, and really have that payoff? What do you tell corporate clients as to why video is so critical and important?
Yes. Well, I think we live in a time where you can't do without video. You know, this, if you had any doubts before COVID, I think this is the time to turn it around and think, hey, what can I do? So what are the things that are possible right now? And one of the things you can do is create videos and still be in touch with people and make a human connection through a camera lens. And I know that might be scary. I know that that's not ideal, but this is the way to do it right now. So create videos about who you are, tell your story, show people what you do. So don't just be a talking head, but really show people, you know, visually what you do, tell people about the products, about your story. And this is something that I think has never been more important than now. And what I love about now as well, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. So you can start and start off just, you know, very simply with just your phone, perhaps maybe a small tripod or, you know, anything that you have laying around. But really, you don't need anything expensive. The most important part is knowing your message and understanding who you're trying to reach. And once you have that, then you can, you know, create any video. Doesn't have to be super difficult, or super complicated.
Absolutely. And I wanted to put up on screen for everybody your website, because it's beautifully done. A lot of great information and resources, how to get information on the book, the courses that you have, the trainings that you're doing for those people that are focused on, how do I get trained? How do I get video to work for me? Whether it's an individual brand that you're trying to build or a company, Pelpina does a phenomenal job on her website, giving you some insights and capabilities to really dive in and do it. And so there's some free video tools that are up on the website that you make available. You've got lots of great videos you've incorporated.
Well, that's what I believe in, right? And I know you believe in this too. Yep. So the whole ripple effect which is something that you stand for, and something that I actually, years and years back when we met at South by Southwest, this is something that you told me and made me aware of. And the thing is, that has given me so much, because I give away a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. As you see on my website, there's a free ebook with a ton of videos, and people have told me before that I'm crazy. They say, well, why do you give away so much information? You should, people should be paying for this stuff. It shouldn't be free. But I believe, and I know you do too, in it's all about what you give. And the more you give, the more you receive. And so, yes, if you go to my website, there's a ton of free things, free tools, free ebook, as I mentioned, but also gear sheet, so things that you can download. And that's what I believe in. And that actually has given me more than anything. So being out there on LinkedIn and just sharing my knowledge, sharing information, that really has given me so much.
That's awesome.
So and you were one of the first people to tell me about the whole ripple effect. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for that plug. That means a lot to me.
Yes, there you go.
Well, so I, a couple of practical questions around video. So what's the difference? I think, I had asked a few people that in preparation for today's interview, things that they would want to know. If you're uncomfortable or, maybe still getting your feet wet when it comes to video, there's a lot of folks that are talking about live streaming, right? And, just flipping the camera on and going. What are your recommendations there? Because, one of the things that I started doing, investing in tools, ones that I saw that you were promoting, and I cannot emphasize this enough for my audience. Pelpina has researched everything from, tripods to camera equipment to different lighting approaches, and all these things become just unbelievable amounts of resources for you if you are thinking about getting into video. But as I was starting to understand what would be required, I started discovering tools like StreamYard, which we're on right now, Ecamm Live, understanding the various capabilities for live streaming. And I still haven't quite found my traction on live streaming yet, but I'm going to continue to work on it. And it's been a lot of fun to discover this. But one of my audience members had asked, how do I know whether I should just do video or I should live stream, or should I do both?
Oh, such a good question. And it's actually something I think will be different for everyone.
Sure.
So also something that you are comfortable with. So some of us really enjoy live streaming. I really do too, just like you. It's fast. It's, you're out there immediately and people can join in. There's a lot of interaction if you do it the right way. So I love it. But there are also people who actually think it's a lot more work, because they like to be prepared. If anything happens, it happens. So you need to prepare well. And if you are kind of a perfectionist, maybe in certain ways, it might actually be a bit more scary than regular video, because in regular video, you can still edit things out, obviously. Yeah. So I would say for most of the people who I'm helping right now, so most people I've helped and most people I'm helping, start off with regular video. And start off perhaps with stories. So the stories that you see on Instagram stories, LinkedIn stories, that's usually the smallest step, because it's only available 24 hours. If people are not expecting anything fancy, it's okay if it's not perfect. In fact, we don't want it to be perfect. Yep. So start off there. Then think about live streaming or regular videos. Live streaming is faster, I think. Yeah. So depending on the person, right? But I think it's faster because you don't have to edit afterwards. You could, but you don't have to. But it does take maybe a bit more preparation. But regular video takes a lot more edit work afterwards. Yeah. So So most companies I work with actually first do video because you have more control. And so they're first finalizing the format. So they're thinking, okay, who is my viewer? Yeah. What platform and with what purpose, right? And then you come up with a format around that. So once you have the format, so you think of, okay, how am I going to start off this video? What's the purpose? So how can I divide the video up in smaller parts? Maybe I have a call to action. What role is branding going to play? So once you have that format, and you can practice in video, while creating videos, you can come up with that format. Once you have that, it might be easier to then switch to live streaming, because then you have this format, you know how to start, then you can probably also handle the interaction part, which I think is one of the most important parts of live streaming, is really, answering questions, any viewers who can join the stream, that kind of fun. So that's a very different way, I think, of creating.
Absolutely.
But both have their ups and downs. So
Well, lots of positives on both sides, right? But for me, and what's really ironic is, I actually live stream with someone that's in your neck of the woods in the Netherlands. Dr. Asha Prasad and I have our own podcast, and so she was one of the ones that said, "Hey, look, we need to pull this into a live stream. So we'll do the podcast and we record it and put it up for people that are just listening through their ears, but we're also just recording these conversations." And what we've actually found is, as opposed to just clicking the mic and recording the podcast, the live stream element just brings a whole new level of dynamic to the table, because you can see one another, you're expressive, people can get and understand the energy behind something that you're talking about. And so I like to say I blame her for pulling me into live streaming, but really it's an advantage. But, at some point when the lockdown, and in the pandemic, calms down a little bit, I've got to connect you two, because you guys are like right there together.
I know. I was going to say that's we should. And I know things are quite bad here at the moment. So maybe, hopefully in a couple of weeks, things will be a little bit better. So yes, that would be great. That sounds awesome.
So I have a question for you about where you are today. I just mentioned the Netherlands, but how did you grew up in the Netherlands, you ended up in Dallas. We met obviously in Texas, at South by face to face. So how did that, I'm always into the origin story. So walk us through the Pelpina origin story, how you left there, came to the US, what you did here, and then ultimately what, brought you back.
Oh, okay. So, so yes, I am from the Netherlands. This is where I was born, grew up. Then when I was 19, I moved to Texas, close by Dallas. So studied journalism there. So that's my background, telling stories. Then I was so lucky to find a job at CW in Dallas, which really I'm still so grateful for. So I was able to work at a local TV news station for a couple of years, in front of the camera, behind the camera. This taught me so much, especially how to deliver a message or tell a story in a limited amount of time. And make it interesting to your viewer.
Yep.
And in news, you have to be fast. So, I had to have 3 items out every day, but that really has taught me so much. So, very grateful for that. Then I moved on to video podcasting with Callie Lewis, Luria Petrucci. Yeah. And this is, I think, around, right around the time that we met. So this is probably, this must have been a couple of years later then. So we met probably in 2012, right?
Face to face at South by 2012. Yeah. 2012. But I think we connected in 2011 originally. Yeah.
Yes. So around that time, I moved on to online video. So I met with Luria, and I was actually doing a segment on her for the news. And we met, and I just fell in love with what she was doing. She had this beautiful home. She had this studio set up, very simple, but everything worked perfectly. And she had all these followers on iTunes. This was on iTunes.
Yeah.
And I just remember walking away thinking, I don't know what she's doing, but this is what I want. This is it. Because I was working at a TV news station, working crazy hours, running around. And here, and she showed me how to do things differently. And I think it was 2 or 3 months later that I was actually working with her. So that was really incredible.
That's awesome.
So I worked with her, learned a lot from online video, which was very different from TV.
Yep.
Not as much equipment, smaller teams. I found I had to learn how to have my own voice, which is also very different from television. So people asked me my opinion, which is really scary at first. So I learned a lot. And then I moved on, found my own company together with Mark Zamora, a good friend of mine. And I think a year, 2 years after that, we moved back to the Netherlands, which is where I live right now with my husband and our three children.
You are adorable, by the way. I love your when you've got them in your videos, or you're on the different social platforms. I mean, they're awesome. As is your husband. I really enjoyed meeting him back in 2012 as well.
Yes, I know. Yeah, that was so. Me and my husband, we've been together for 300 years or so. So we've been together for quite some time, and so now we live here in the Netherlands, and I do a lot of workshops and coaching. But I still make videos every day. I'm in front of the camera, behind the camera. That's what I love most. That's what I love to do most. And really right now I'm trying to be more focused on the international market, which is one of the reasons I really wanted to have this book, and I wanted to publish it on Amazon. And so, and it's really interesting how now, after all these years, we are back in touch, and,
everything really comes full circle, right? Those ripples that, go out, they always come back to you in amazing ways.
It really is. That's really how it works.
From the video experience, when I first saw you on GeekBeat, you were one of the core reasons I kept coming back, because you had such great personality, great chemistry, amazing team that put that on, obviously. And I've continued to follow Loria with Live Streaming Pros and what she's doing now. And I saw you on there a while back when you did the the segment with her, and hopefully you'll go back on that because you just add so much color and value there. It was great for you guys to kind of have that on-screen reunion. But the thing I really liked about it was that you were authentic, right? And I really appreciated that. And so I thought, okay, that could be like the video persona that you have. And so when I met you at South by, I wasn't expecting the same person, and you were that and then some, right? Which was
that's
amazing. And I
always hear this too, and it just cracks me up, because I'm like, okay, but yes, of course that's me. I wouldn't, I would have to be a really good actress to just, have this thing going on in front of the camera. But I guess that, I'm sure there's people who do that. But it's really funny to hear that. And people say, oh, you're just like when, I see you on a video. I'm like, yep.
Well, it's kind of funny, because one of the other questions I got from one of my, my listeners was, do you put on that persona, or do you show up in these videos as your authentic self? And of course I could give them that background about you, but the recommendation
but it is a good question, because the thing is, okay, so I'm very happy and bubbly, and I have a lot of energy, and yes, that's me, but this is not me all the time. Okay. So, let's be honest. So yes, of course there are things I do to try to have the right energy in front of a camera. Yes, that's something I always am very aware of. And so when I don't have the energy, or when I don't feel it, which happens all the time. So, we have 3 young children. Right now they're downstairs, and we just, we're in a pandemic and had a lockdown where we had to homeschool the 3 children. And so, every once in a while, the kids would be downstairs, and things would be really, busy with school and all these meetings with teachers. And then I had to go upstairs to my workroom, and I would have to do a video or a live stream. And I was still really stressed out from, and that's really when I just have to come to myself and think, okay, who am I going to connect with? Because I think that's the most important part. And why am I doing this? And I always try to go back to that. So especially when I'm not feeling it, I'm thinking, okay, why am I doing this? Who am I trying to connect with? And then usually things fall into place. Not always. Sometimes you need coffee. Sometimes you need good music, or you just need to walk outside for a minute and then come back and then, have the right energy. So I think it's an excellent question because, it's not like I'm always this happy and bubbly and, always excited to, but I do love what I do.
Yeah, it's obvious. That comes through in everything that you do. I mean, it's one of the things that most impresses me about you is the fact that you have such enthusiasm, but you're also authentic about what you're talking about and the message that you're trying to deliver. And I think for anybody that's thinking about getting into video, that's a really good perspective, right? What am I trying to communicate? Who is this meant for? And what do I want them to walk away with in terms of the impression? Because the video, once you've put it out there, is there for a long time. So you never know who's going to come across and pick up the video, 6 months or 6 years from now, right?
No, exactly. And that one little piece of just being aware of, who you're trying to make a connection with and why you're doing this, it can also really help calm nerves. Yeah. And something else I always do, also when I have this live stream going on, or I know that, okay, I'm going on a stage, or it might even just be a virtual stage, I often get nervous. I get very, very nervous. And so something else I do is I imagine not the people who are in front of me, which there might be hundreds of people right in front of me. I always imagine who's behind me. So who has my back? Who's my tribe, right? So who are the people who are cheering me on while I'm doing this? And that really helps a lot as well when I'm, just about to step on that stage, or maybe when you're about to hit that record button and you're thinking, oh God, it's so scary. Happens all the time. So you're not alone.
So even to the pros, that happens. So that's really reassuring to, an amateur like me that is, still feels like they're just not that great on video. So
let me tell you, I think that most of the people for at least the people who I know, for example, on LinkedIn, so some of the people who are really big on LinkedIn, most of them are introverts, and most of them would, if you throw a party, would not be the first person to step on the dance floor.
Yep.
So I think that's, that always encourages people when I say that. So, I'm also pretty shy, very introvert, and yes, still get very nervous when I have to even record a video or do a live stream. And I think that actually helps because it helps me to be in the moment and to understand the importance of what I'm doing. If I would not get nervous anymore, then, I'm not sure if I would still like it. It's part of why I do what I do.
Do you know how to change the light settings when you're shooting a video on your smartphone? Well, it's actually pretty simple. On most smartphones, you simply tap your screen to change the exposure and the focus. On iPhones, there's also this little sun, which you can move up and down to change the exposure manually. On most Android phones, there's a light bulb, which you can move from left to right. So if you don't want your video to look like this, but perhaps more like this, then definitely check out my Smartphone Video Academy. It's opening up on November 11th for a small group of professionals, 97 euros for 3 weeks. I'll teach you how to make smartphone videos with impact. See you soon.
But, I think that technically gives you the edge, right? I've got a couple of coaching clients that I worked with, and they have that performance anxiety, whether it's a big meeting or they've got a presentation or they're giving a speech, and they've come to me and said, well, you seem to do that so well when you're out speaking. I'm like, oh, I have you totally snowballed then completely, because it is it's a scary process for me, and I'm introverted and shy and have been by nature. But, at the end of the day, it's one of those things that when you take that deep breath and you kind of know why you're there and what your message is, and that you've got something to share, it makes all the difference. But it also gives you the edge. I think that nervousness or that, being scared just a little bit kind of keeps you on your, top level in terms of your game.
Right. I agree. Because otherwise, if it were that easy or that simple, I guess that would show as well. So it's interesting. I've never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. I remember us, when you interviewed me at South by, and I mentioned that I was shy and introverted. You're like, we got off camera and you were like, are you really? I don't believe that you are. And I'm like, oh no. Yeah. I was shaking the whole time you had the camera on. But you made it real easy because it was such a nice, seamless interview. And
I don't remember that you were that nervous.
Yeah,
so
no,
it did not make that big of an impression on me.
Yeah,
I did not see you shake.
Yeah, no, it's I've seen other people like really freak out, so I can conceal it pretty well. But you make it easy because, especially in an interview situation, you have great questions, you come prepared, you put that other person at ease. It makes it real simple, and that's what I've noticed about your other live streams where you've been on with other guests or folks that you're talking to directly. You just have this perfect natural way about just making everybody feel comfortable. Even today, I was just super excited to get this, going because, there was just so much that I know that I could learn from you, and, our audience will benefit greatly. So, it excited me to have you on for sure today.
Well, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear that. And I also really appreciate the whole authentic part, because this is something I've been trying to work on, and something that, I remember in my past things that I've done, people who have told me, oh, you shouldn't do this, or you should be another way, or we should pretend you're this, or we should really, and it never felt right. And so, it's really good to hear this, that, it's been a good choice to just be myself.
Yeah. I've always told folks, that have had those kinds of feedback loops, right? Ask those people when they last did it, right? Most people have an opinion, or always like to try and tell you what they wish they could do and why you can't do it. And those doubters are certainly, there's many of them out there, right? Especially now with social media, people can pile on with comments and different things that can really knock you down a few steps. But you just have to realize that you're out there doing it because you've got something significant to say. And especially when you put it out on video, it is scary and it is new territory for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I think this is going to be the way that a lot of us continue to build our brands and get our message out there. And it's here to stay.
Yes, absolutely. And, it could be for personal branding. So what we have been talking about. So on LinkedIn, where you show who you are and why you do what you do, but video can be used in many different ways. So I've been, training CEOs of big international companies who are, now that they can't visit all their locations anymore, they help, create a video once a week or something and show their employees that they are still involved and that they, really are trying to make a connection through video. So all these videos could still, you could put it out there on LinkedIn or Instagram, but you can also use it within a company. And you can use it to just get in touch with someone. So I've been sending out videos on LinkedIn or through Instagram, just quick, short video messages whenever someone has a question, for example, and you reply with a quick video. People love it because it's so personal. It really shows what we've been talking about, a bit of your personality, a bit of who you are. It really helps make that connection. And I think right now, that is so important, is to still make that human connection. So you could use it in many different ways. So even if you think, well, I'm really not ready to put a video out there on LinkedIn or Instagram, that's okay. If you don't want to live stream, that's fine. You can still use videos in many other ways, even if it's, behind the scenes, not for everyone to see.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Great feedback. Actually had a experience during the initial phases of lockdown where we were in the final stages of a negotiation for my software company, my other company that I have. And I just sent a video out to someone utilizing, LinkedIn as the platform to just click record and do it. Right. And I did it for a prospect, one of the top level executives that, company we were talking to, and just wanted to say, hey, look, not pressing you for a decision. Things have changed. Obviously, I get that, but I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. I hope you and your family are doing well. And when this changes, we'll get back together and we'll be able to pick up the conversation. And we ended up landing that deal later on in the summer. And one of the things that they said was, I actually shared this with my team because that was one of the most genuine things that, anybody had done. And it just meant a lot that somebody would take the time to be a little different. And video was the key component there. So I have to give you and some of your strategies and the ideas that you kind of put in my head about live video or shooting video, and give you the proper credit, because it really did make all the difference with this particular individual.
Oh, that's so exciting. I always love to hear these things. And, it's a simple idea, but you still have to do it. Yeah. So credit goes to you because you did it. And I'm sure you did it in a very authentic way, something that really fit with, the person who you were trying to make a connection with. So that's, the most important part is how you do it, how you talk to that camera, make that connection. But I'm so happy to hear this, because this is just a great example of what video can do. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of time. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You can simply film with your phone, but there needs to be the right reason. There needs to be, the right motivation. And once you have that, then, you can really make a connection with anyone using videos. Yeah.
Yep. Well, so one question that another audience member had asked was, do you have to how do you recommend, if you've got a small space, creating a little studio area for yourself? Do you have to have that, or what do you recommend for someone that's maybe, a little bit resource challenged in terms of that?
All right, here's for the resource challenged under us, which has been me for years. Okay, I'm just going to show you. So I know not everyone is going to see this. But right now, okay, so there's these beautiful little lights behind me. So there's lights behind me, which looks really impressive. Let me show you. It's just two little lights, okay? So it's really, God, the other way. So it's really, this way, right? Can't do that. It's it's mirrored. But that's, it looks impressive. It's really not that impressive. It's just a wall. But then let me show you what I have been creating most of my LinkedIn and Instagram videos right in front of this window. Simple window. So I just use this light. Right now, I have all these studio lights. So you can see studio lights on the ceiling. But this is really where I've done most of the videos that I'm creating on LinkedIn and Instagram, just natural light. So if you are looking, and then I had this as a background, right? So maybe, or a white wall. I've had a white wall for the longest time. And this background is pretty recent. So that's really all you need. You just need natural light, so a good window. Then, you do kind of have to listen and see if the audio is kind of okay. So that is a thing. Check your background, and then you have your own mini studio. The most important part is audio and light. And when you have that right, then sure, after, you can set up some things in the background. And but it's really not about all the tools. And that's really so important, because a lot of times people ask me, okay, so I want to start creating videos. So what should I get? What should I buy? That's usually my next question. Yeah. So what do I get so I can create great videos? Yep. And I always say that's great. Sure. And I can give you a lot of recommendations. I'm testing out new things every day. Sure. But that's not where you start. You first need a good plan. Once you have a good plan, then you need to, come across on camera. Okay. That's the foundation. And then you can build from there. And sure, there's a lot of things you can get. Like, if you want to start off small, this, for example, is the Benro BK10. So right now I'm showing this little table. It's a mini tripod with 3 little legs. And then you can clamp your phone into this holder, and you can make it vertical or horizontal. So this one is really nice. Benro BK10. In some countries, it's the Benro MK10. And it's a very tiny, look, I can make it very small, tiny little tripod that you can just put in your bag. So this is something I would definitely start off with. So you have your hands free. So you are more flexible, free to speak. And then something else I would recommend is, of course, a microphone. Yeah. I don't know what you have, Steve, but I have this Rode Smart Lav. Yeah, it's a little lavalier microphone. So a clip-on mic that you just clip on yourself, or maybe if you're interviewing someone else. And then there's microphones like this as well. So this is the Rode Video Mic Me, just a few examples. There's also wireless microphones like these that you clip on yourself, and one on your phone, and you don't have any wires. So that's good.
Wow.
You know, the microphone, I would recommend to just start off simple and first listen to what the room you're in, what that sounds like. How does your voice sound in the room? Is there anything you can do to make it sound better? So if there's an echo, if the sound just bounces off the walls, fix that first. Put down blankets. That's going to sit. That's really, you might not even have to buy a microphone. Simple things like that really help. And then, yes, you can buy a microphone that perhaps you can clip on. This is probably the first step. And then from there, there's a lot of different options.
It's how much and how wide you want to open your wallet, because the options are endless, right?
Endless. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So start small and really just start with good audio, good light. First, try to fix it, the room you're in. So try to use natural light, try to fix the ambient sound. And then when that's good, then maybe you can go and look for, microphones, lights, extra stuff. But do basics first.
Basics first. And one of the tools that you failed to mention was this book, Video Smart. You need to get this book. Yes, that's the first tool to get, for sure. Because you did such an amazing job. I just have to like brag on you a little bit, because you've got QR codes in this. Hopefully that comes up on the camera, but QR codes that'll actually link to Pelpina's videos that will give you little insights about what that chapter is about, and ultimately really how to, whatever that topic is, really expand upon it. So not only in the written word, but you back it up with video, which, shocker, that's video smart, right?
There had to be videos in there.
Yes, of course.
Of course there had to be. And I looked at, different options, and it finally landed on the QR codes. But it's funny, because when I was working on the Dutch book, I had all these ideas. Yeah, I wanted to make it so visual, and I wanted to put these, videos in there. And there was just so limited options when I was talking to my publisher. And so that's when I knew I really wanted to publish my own book and go all out and, really make it my own. And I really wanted there to be videos, but also video plans. So examples of what a video plan could look like, video format canvas, so you can brainstorm on what kind of topic might work for you, and how you can put your things that you want to portray, how you can turn that into a video. So you really think about your audience, you think about the platform. Anyway, so there's a lot of practical stuff in there, and also quotes from people who I really admire myself. Which I thought it's
an awesome book. I highly recommend you pick it up. Video Smart, Amazon.com. You place your order right now. I promise you, if you're thinking about video, either to build your brand or to build your personal brand, and you have any trepidation about getting on video, she'll teach you how to have that confidence, how to map out your story so that you've got something compelling to share in terms of, the videos that you're going to make, but really a brilliant breakdown of all the different equipment options. And like you said, Pelpina, it doesn't have to be super expensive to get going.
No, and the book, of course, covers a lot of different equipment options. So I just, gave you a few, but there, of course, are a lot more different options there, and apps too. So there's a lot of apps, and I know there's always questions on what kind of apps should I use? Well, it depends on the video. It depends on your phone. But yeah, I've tried to cover my top apps in the book.
But you did a phenomenal job. What's that? So, I'm sorry.
There are a lot of apps. So, I also really enjoy using a lot of different apps too. So.
Well, you're brilliant when you look at not only in the book, but also the videos that you're putting out with some of these products, right? That the tripod, or that the one that you can carry and go with is brilliant. I saw you first promote that, I think, on the Live Streaming Pros live stream a few months back, and
yes,
you really put these things through the paces. So whatever you're putting out there, you'll be like, hey, this is great for this, or not so great for this. And, you give the good and the bad, and which is really quite brilliant, I think.
Well, I like to be honest. The thing is, there's a lot of products out there that really just they don't work. And trust me, I buy them. I have a ring light right here that I've tried, and I think really doesn't, it's really terrible. And so I won't promote it, and I also won't. If anyone has a good ring light, please let me know. And I mean specifically for smartphones, because I have other ring lights. But if anyone knows of a really good smartphone ring light, let me know, because I'm testing them and I haven't found one I liked. But yeah, that's the thing. People always ask me about ring lights, and I just tell them, well, I can't really recommend a good one. If you have one, let me know. I have one in a box here, so I'm going to try that one too. Who knows?
Like you said, though, your best lighting comes right in front of your, the natural light from the window, right? So you don't have to go invest in expensive lighting to get going.
No, exactly. The thing, though, is I am in the Netherlands right now, which is a pretty gray country. And sometimes, especially when in the winter, the sun goes down at 4 p.m. It's really terrible. Wow. It's not Texas. It's Texas. I miss Texas. I miss the Texas sun. But anyway, so sometimes it might, it is really good to have a few lights, especially if you're in Holland.
Absolutely. Well, so as we look to wrap up, I've got to ask you, because this is the ripple effect, and I think this was the coolest ripple possible, that we've been able to stay in contact with one another so long.
I know, yes.
I'm grateful to be accounted amongst your Facebook friends and your loyal following on LinkedIn, and you've just been so amazing. But just out of curiosity, based on what you know about the ripple, what does the ripple effect actually mean to you?
Well, it really means to give. That's something I've learned, and also from you. So let me tell you a little story about the book. So since we were talking about the book,
sure.
I was about to publish my book, and this has all been done through self-publishing, which has really been quite an adventure, because I don't know anything about self-publishing a book. I make videos, so I don't know. I had no clue. But the interesting thing was, I got in touch with just the right people. And I think that's so interesting when you're thinking about the ripple effect. So I got in touch with John Elston. He's also on LinkedIn. He also has published his own book. And he asked me, so I really want to order your book. It's great. Can I order it for all my employees? And I thought, well, great. But I asked him, well, could you order it on this and this day? Because I think this helps in the algorithm. Because, I was trying to be smart about this.
Yeah.
And he replied and he said, hey, let's jump on a quick call, because I think I can help you with a few things. And so John and I got in touch, and we spent several evenings where he just explained how this whole self-publishing industry, how it works. And I had no idea. And then one evening, so Rick and I, my husband, we were sitting, talking to John all through Zoom, obviously. And Rick asked him, so John, can I ask you, why do you do this? I mean, it's really nice, but you've spent several evenings with us, and that's, a lot of hours. You're not really getting anything in return. Why are you doing this? And John replied, it's because Pelpina gives so much. And I was like, what? He said, wow. I've been seeing you. I've watched you on LinkedIn, and I see you give all this, free info on how to make videos. And I just wanted to give back.
That's awesome.
And that's really when, it was just like, oh, I almost cried. I was like, I can't, what, really? Is that why you're, because I had the same question, like, okay, here's John again. I think he's helping us again,
Yeah.
And he really helped us push it to a #1 bestseller. Without John, it would not have been possible. So that's really what the ripple effect is to me. It's just giving, and, at very unexpected moments, you get something back in return. And absolutely. Without expecting it, because I think that's really what it's about. It's not like, okay, I'm just going to put something in, so so I can get it back. It's really, it really comes back in a very unexpected moments. But I think that's that's an example. That's a very recent example.
What a great example and great story. And then you're absolutely right. I mean, the more positive things that you put out there into the world, they all eventually come back. People often want to quantify it and categorize it, but a lot of times it's just the ripples happen.
It just happens. And I also really think the more you give, it's all about giving. So things really started to go well for me, my business, when I started to give more. So I think that's the most important part. Just keep giving.
Yeah, just keep giving. I love that. I just gave myself a tickle in my throat. I got so emotional over your stuff.
I know. I understand. It was such a good story.
It was a good story, and it's awesome. And I have to agree with him wholeheartedly. I mean, you have done so much out there on the interwebs, if you will, to educate and to, get people comfortable about getting their message and their thoughts out there, and leveraging this amazing tool of video. And you do it, and the nice thing about it, and you see some folks that do it and they're either so blatantly promoting their thing or got a course coming up, or you always know there's an ulterior motive, right? But with you, it's just like, hey, I'm putting it out here, hope you can use it. And if nothing else, you're going to be entertained by this video, by this person that just brightens up your day. And so you are definitely what I would call a rippler, without any doubt.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it so much, especially coming from you. And also thank you, because for the past few weeks we had this huge lockdown here in the Netherlands, and, homeschooling kids, and just, I couldn't really do anything extra when it comes to being visible or creating videos. And I was just telling Rick, my husband, today, I was like, oh, I kind of feel like I have to get back out there, but I'm not quite sure. And, just felt this, I don't know, this thing that I maybe, where do I start? I don't know. And so after talking to you now, I'm all excited again. And like, it doesn't, just get back out there. Just do your thing.
I love it.
Just do your thing.
Yeah, so just do your thing, because the world needs you. There's no doubt in my mind. So let our listeners and our audience know how they can find you out on social media, and where best to connect with you.
Well, yes. So just go to my website, pelpina.com, for, the ebook, for example, that we talked about, the free ebook. So there's a ton of tools on that website for you to get started with video. But I would also love to connect with you. And the best way to connect is either through LinkedIn or Instagram. A ton of free videos are out there for you to watch to get started. So yeah, just find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or go to my website. And on LinkedIn and Instagram, just, find my name, Pelpina, and there's not a lot of us out there.
Pelpina Trip, you are awesome. I mean, absolutely love you to death. And for those of you that are looking for that website, it's pelpina.com. And you'll find her, like she said, she's Pelpina everywhere on all of the social platforms, which is really, really cool. And I am go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, it's one of the few benefits of having a unique name is that all the social media handles are always, for me, just to grab. So our Clubhouse, for example, it's just at Pelpina.
Yep, that works. That's perfect. Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you agreed to do this, and I know you've had a lot going on, and so for you to make time in your late afternoon to meet up and connect at this level has just been tremendous.
Of course, it's really, I've really wanted to get back in touch with you, so it's really been a great pleasure. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. We definitely need to do this again. I can't wait.
Yes, let's do this again.
All right. You tell Rick I said hello, and go give those boys a squeeze, because they're adorable. I mean, they're the stars of your videos. I think fantastic.
Yes, I agree. I'll have to put them on more often.
And as always, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me, because I'm always here for you, and happy to create any possible ripples I can for you.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
All right. You take care.
You too.
All right.
Bye.